How do you drive $100 million in Amazon sales? Well, you start by bending Amazon's image rules, but in 7 very specific ways. Because if you get this wrong, you're basically handing your sales to your competitors on a silver platter. So I'm about to give you my proven image framework that I'm using to drive upward of $100 million in Amazon sales this year. And it works because it targets the specific dopamine pockets in the brain that make shoppers click that add to cart button. But I see gurus gatekeeping these strategies behind $9,000 paywalls or sharing them in private mastermind groups. So I'm on a mission to help 1,000 people grow to over $100,000 in Amazon sales by giving away every resource you need for free. These are the same strategies we used for David to drive $2.8 million in sales in under 6 months. And that was just with one single product. And I'm going to show you how we did that later. But let me answer the question burning in your brain. No, when I made those changes, I didn't get banned. But yes, I did use psychology, strategy, and a dash of rebellion. So buckle up because we're diving deep into the art of Amazon image optimization. And by the end of this video, you'll have a whole new arsenal of image tactics to transform your Amazon sales. Because one big mistake that I see a lot of Amazon sellers make when it comes to crafting their images is either copying what their competitors do, or they start throwing spaghetti at a wall and hoping it sticks. And this could be the reason that you're waking up to no new sales on Amazon. So instead of that, wouldn't it be great if you could somehow have a crystal ball that shows you exactly how customers will interact with your images? Well, we do. And it means no more guessing, no more hoping, just cold, hard data. And it all starts by understanding what shoppers are really thinking when they look at your product images. Heat maps are the closest thing we have to an Amazon mind-reading device. And I did a study at Ecom Optimization where we analyzed some of our clients' top performing listings. The results were a real eye-opener about where our shoppers are drawn and what makes them buy. Heat maps are kind of like a heat-seeking missile for your customers' attention. Hotter colors mean more attention. And the one thing that was really shocking in this study was the power of words. See right here? You would think that shoppers of extra long barbecue tongs would be drawn to the tongs, or even perhaps the steak. I mean, that old marketing adage goes, sell the sizzle, not the steak, right? Well, no, actually, shoppers' eyes are drawn to the headline text. And that's a big trick. Add words to your images, but carefully, because those words are part of what drove this product from being lost at 30,000 BSR to skyrocketing up to 832 and landing on page 1 in under 24 hours of being launched. And the crazy part, the new sales were all from free traffic. We made no changes to the paid traffic whatsoever. Now you may be saying, Sean, yeah, that's great, but when I get creative with Amazon images, I feel like I'm walking a tightrope because my images just get suppressed. And that's a real pain because Amazon's guidelines can feel like a minefield. One wrong step and boom, your listing is suppressed. On one hand, you really need to be creative, but on the other hand, you're afraid of getting penalized. The trick here is to master the rules and then learn to bend them. It's about finding that golden sweet spot between compliance and creativity. Because here's the reality. Amazon has some non-negotiables that will get you into real trouble. Sure, your main image needs to be on a pure white background. It must showcase the product clearly. It must fill at least 80% of the frame. No extra text, no busy backgrounds, no confusing props, no crazy shadows. These are the rookie errors that will get your images rejected faster than you can say listing suppression. But here's where it gets really interesting. You see, Amazon's rules aren't always black and white. There's some wiggle room in there, some gray areas where you can get creative. Let's start with these. You've seen these eye-catching callouts before, right? They're a great way to highlight product features, but Amazon's rules seem to be a buzzkill when it comes to callouts. Because slapping a blatant callout on your main image will get your images suppressed faster than a bouncer spotting your fake ID. This is where we need to get sneaky. Instead of blatant text or image overlays, we subtly integrate callouts with the product itself. Think of this like whispering to your customer rather than shouting. We can use color, texture, and placement to make the callouts feel like a natural part of the product. It still highlights the key features, but without triggering Amazon's alarms. This is called the invisible callout. meaning the callout is invisible to the Amazon robot, not to the customer. To do this, we just make sure to subtly integrate the callout in a way that blends seamlessly with your product so that the algorithm thinks that this callout is just part of the product, but we still get to grab attention. Like this one. Boring hardware on an all-white background, or what was happening in this space. But once we added the callout of the screws in the tire treads, it was one factor for why those sales jumped 80,000%. And no, that's not a typo. But you'll notice this is not about defying Amazon's algorithm. It's about speaking to humans. A well-placed, invisible callout can be your secret weapon to grabbing attention with your main images. But what if your product doesn't lend itself well to these invisible callouts? Maybe it's too simple or too small, or just doesn't have those obvious features to highlight. Don't worry, we've got another trick up our sleeve, because a plain white background can feel, well, like trying to sell a snowflake in a blizzard. Imagine this. You're selling a premium Jeep grill, but if you just slap your product on that all-white background, you'll just blend in and get overlooked. And then to get noticed, you're gonna have to start dropping your prices. So instead of simply showcasing your grill on a plain white background, use a ghostly impression of a Jeep beneath the grill. The goal here is to simply imply the presence of a Jeep. Just position the Jeep where it would naturally go beneath the grill, then drop the opacity. The trick to this is to be solid yet suggestive. The shoppers should subconsciously register the association with their Jeep and spinning up their desire to have that product on their Jeep. But what if even a ghost prop feels too risky for your product? Maybe you're in a highly monitored niche, or perhaps you just want to play it extra safe. Fear not, we have yet another way to elevate your Amazon image game. But before I show you that, it would mean a ton to me if you would smash that like button and subscribe. That way we can impact more people who are just starting out or who are struggling with Amazon. Is that what I think it is? And with curiosity pique, then they jump onto your product page and see these images that talk about peace of mind and how they replaced normal engraved tags to track your dog. And they show the dog happy. The idea is to use images that tap into the fears and desires of your shoppers. But we're just scratching the surface here, because ghost props and callouts and curiosity triggers are just one piece of the puzzle. But if you truly want to unlock the full potential of your Amazon images, you need to master this next trick. Miss this and you risk leaving a ton of money on the table. Because here's what you're up against on Amazon. Your product, when presented against a plain white background, can easily become lost in a sea of sterile white main images. And yes, Amazon's guidelines might push for this simplicity, but our goal is to sell. So take this soap mold. Now, contrary to what it may seem, we're not really selling a soap mold. We're actually selling the dream of beautifully handcrafted soap. And here, we're not just selling a syringe, we're selling a tool that makes essential tasks easier. So how do we bend the Amazon rules to make sales? Well, you just use a strategic splash of color on or in the product itself. Whether showcasing the vibrant hues of potential soap creations or highlighting the syringe's clear markings with a contrasting color, we instantly elevate the visual appeal. And the proof is in the heat map. Look at how few things catch the eye here on the original bland on white product image. But when we add in these elements to the main image, that heat map bursts to life with tons of eye-tracking activity. And look at how the eyes are drawn to the benefits, specifically the bold, beautiful, colorful soap, which is really what the shoppers want in the first place. And this leaves the competitors in the dust. Color. This strategy of adding color to your main image not only differentiates you from a sea of white-on-white images, but also transforms a mundane tool into an object of desire, sparking the customer's imagination and ultimately driving sales. But remember that while Amazon would prefer that all white backgrounds be used on all of your images because they like that clean, sterile aesthetic, the fact is that all white image background rule is only required on main images. So you can bend the rules and get really creative with the rest of your image stack. The goal is to speak to shoppers' aspirations. Make them see the transformation that your product offers. Like with these pet parents who are suffering from the fear, the panic, the sheer agony of witnessing their beloved furry companions suffer from diarrhea. This pain point keeps pet parents up at night. They're scouring the internet for solutions. So we just position the solution right here in the image. We highlight that transformation, the happy pet who once suffered from diarrhea, and how it's all solved using the only FDA-registered anti-diarrhea solution for dogs. Again, text on images. The key is not to shy away from this raw emotion. Embrace it, understand it, and then harness it to create images that resonate so deeply with our target audience that they can't resist hitting that add to cart button. The fact is, we are looking for emotional hooks. And when we find them, we show them plainly, like with these happy and healthy pets, which can provide a real sense of hope and relief for pet parents. By tapping into any emotional hook of agony or embarrassment and offering a clean, clear solution, you create images that are not only visually appealing, but are also emotionally engaging, ultimately driving sales and building brand loyalty. But there's one mistake that I see too many Amazon sellers making, and it causes years of frustration and lost sales. That's why I want to show you this next trick. Imagine that you're selling umbrella bases, but the market is absolutely flooded with umbrella bases. But you know you've got the best. Well, that was the case with David. He had created an absolutely brilliant problem-solving umbrella base that would not tip over in heavy winds. But just doing the basics and saying we have a heavy-duty rolling umbrella base would not have captured the unique qualities of this product. There's no hook. So with deep market research, we started focusing on what made this product different. The massive 125 pounds of stability with hidden wheel enclosures that protect little toes. So we kind of showed that, but most marketers would have done that. And this is called the Ferrari with a rusty paint job syndrome. You have a Ferrari, you have a great product, but you're hiding it beneath a bland wash of rust. And that rust camouflages your work of art in plain sight. You just don't stand out, and we don't want that. So we keep stacking our differentiation, including this next little gem, because Amazon wants to keep social proof contained in your reviews, and only your reviews. And they fight hard to do that. But to boost sales, we don't want to be reliant on only reviews. That's why we just stick the social proof right in the images. Owners of upscale restaurants, hotels, and resorts trust this umbrella base. And getting those propositions into the images were part of what drove David's sales to over $2 million in under 6 months. But none of this works if you don't understand this next trick. Because when you try to sell to someone and you don't understand them, you might think that you know what they want, but you could be way off base and you're going to lose sales. And your advertising costs are going to fly through the roof. That's why when it comes to image design, we need to speak the shopper's language, both literally and figuratively. Use the words and imagery that resonate with your shopper. Show them that you understand their needs, and then create images that truly connect. These are called customer whisperer images, where you speak directly to your customers' hearts and minds, just like we did for Freeze and Clear. We had to keep in mind that though this was a wart solution, and it is the most technically advanced solution on the market, the fact is that we are not selling a wart removal product. We are selling the confidence to live life to the fullest. That's why we showcased people confidently wearing their favorite summer outfits, highlighting the freedom and joy that comes from flawless skin. Our imagery aligned with this desire to enjoy warmer weather with skin that's ready to be shown off. And that kind of customer whispering was part of what drove sales to over $2 million in months, not years. But look, this is not a one-time procedure. or a single trick, because Amazon's rules are constantly evolving and guesswork is a gamble. What works for one product might not work for yours. So you gotta embrace the testing mindset, experiment, analyze, and optimize. However, images are just one part of this success puzzle. They're powerful, yes, but they work best alongside of a killer copy and dialed in creatives and a rock solid outreach strategy. That's why I created this entire playlist to walk you through every step of building 7-figure Amazon sales. No more guesswork, no more frustration, just a clear path to success. Click the link and dive into that playlist, and I'll show you how easy it all can really be.